Stuart Granger is a villain hatching a murderous plan, the Victorian melodrama Blanche Fury in 15 minutes. But first, remembering Ice Maiden Grace Kelly.
Oh, her beauty was breathtaking. Her elegance, her tiny waist, we were so envious.
Just that cool, calm sexiness that is just there, and she doesn't have to try too hard.
It's difficult to put into words. I think she almost created a sort of aura around her that people were sort of absolutely mesmerised by.
She was the original Ice Maiden. She was distant, and I think that was part of her attraction. Quite aloof, the lady, a born princess.
Grace Kelly's probably Hollywood's quintessential cool blonde. She was very different from the other actresses of the 1950s. She wasn't shapely, voluptuous. She had a very kind of sophisticated sexuality, really. She was much more classy. But I think she is conscious of not wanting to be taken simply as a rather vacuous, perhaps, blonde. She wants to be seen as someone who's got a bit more depth than that. And the thing about her is that she was also a very good actress, which I think is partly forgotten.
I just thought Grace Kelly was incredibly beautiful, and the camera just loved her. And even though I'd probably be about 6, 7, 8, that sort of age, maybe a little bit older, maybe 9, you could just tell that the camera just drank her up and just really, really liked her. And she was sort of blonde and pretty, and she reminded me very much of my mum, who had that sort of same blonde hair, and she'd wear it up and stuff. So it was almost like watching my mum on the telly, which was great, and her clothes were gorgeous.
Well, I'd been in uniform for 3.5 years during the war, and so I was very used to the military style, which seemed to go on and on and on. And then suddenly there was Grace Kelly and Dior. She was a great fashion board for Dior.
I thought I was her. To be quite honest, I grew my hair to have the bun at the back. I always loved, because I was very tall and very slim, and I always had the elegant dresses. And yes, I was the British Grace Kelly as far as I was concerned.
Grace Kelly only made about 10 films, which I think is actually quite important in terms of her enduring status as a cinema icon. She made very few bad films. She made a lot of very important films in their own right.
But she was just so sexy in Rear Window, and, you know, she just looked absolutely gorgeous. And I think, you know, I think she was a good actress as well. You know, I don't know, you just look at photographs and film footage of her, and she just looked wonderful, and everything was really sort of thoughtful and graceful, you know. I mean, the name says it all, really.
I think her look would have been very appealing to her audience, because a lot of the other stars of the era would have been difficult to copy, because it was very, very hard, not the sort of look you could wear walking down the street. So I think it was a breath of fresh air that they could emulate this very natural star.
We didn't all want to look like Jane Russell, who was considered slightly naughty, you know, and we didn't want a reputation. We'd much rather have been Grace Kelly.
There was definitely a Grace Kelly look for hair. And in fact, Grace Kelly played a very important role in the way hair went. Up till then, everything was very set, and this was a sort of freshness. I mean, obviously moving into the 60s, we had the bobs and everything was much more geometric, but there was definitely her look between the very set look and the very sort of the new cut and blow dry look. She was in the middle ground. She was a sort of start of free hair.
We were struggling with home perms, and here she was with this either very soft curly hair, and then the very smooth blonde hairstyle that she developed later on.
The hairdresser who became a hairdresser was Alexander de Paris, probably one of the world's most famous hairdresser. And he would be flown down at her request to do her hair. He did her hair for her wedding. And I would imagine having her hair done by this eminent hairdresser, for her would have been one of the great pleasures, one of the great treats in life.
The typical makeup of the 50s was really quite hard. It was very exaggerated eyeliner, strong lips, and even blusher was very, very strong colours. With Grace Kelly, she went for a very fresh-faced beauty, which was way ahead of its time. It wouldn't look out of place now. First of all, to achieve the perfect complexion, you'd use a foundation with a good coverage, but it wouldn't have to be the sort of heavy pan stick of those days. Technology's moved on so much, it would just be a lightweight foundation. And you'd apply it to all of the face, even to the eyelids and the lips, so that you're almost creating a canvas, the perfect base to put the rest of the makeup on. Then you'd go over with a little bit of concealer to hide any blemishes, a little concealer for under eye dark circles, and a powder to set the makeup. To achieve the eye makeup was really very, very simple. No eyeliner involved at all. So a little bit of natural colour around the eyes, around the lash line to emphasise the eyes, and then just a pale base colour all the way up to the eyebrows, and a little bit of a medium shade in the eye sockets. That just opens out the eyes. And then a little bit of mascara to finish off. The blusher should be very natural, just a hint of blush, like a natural glow. It's applied to the apple of the cheek and then just blended with circular movements, and then just the brush emptied on the temples just to give a balance to it all. The red lips, of course, are all important, and it takes a lot of skill to achieve that look. First of all, line the lips with red lip pencil, then fill in with a lip brush with sort of siren red, block the lips, reapply, and that will make sure that lipstick stays in place.
For those who enjoy wearing their hair today in a more sophisticated style, then a lot can be learned from the Grace Kelly look, and actually you can wear your hair quite similar. To create Grace Kelly's look today, the first most important thing is the haircut. The hairstyle should be of a bob length, not too short a bob, but not also hitting the shoulders. And it should be quite blunt, with a little bit of graduation, meaning that the hair, each length slightly shorter, which will make the hairstyle flick out. It's exactly how Grace would have had her haircut at the time. Also, the sides would be slightly graduated, meaning that again, it's not overly layered, there's a slight shaping through it, and this will create a soft wave. If you have too many layers, you create too much curl. Once the hair has been cut, you would use a setting lotion. And Grace Kelly would have used a more traditional setting lotion they had at the time. Today, you could use a mousse, which will create that shine. To give the hair the movement, the form, the shape, you'd have to use rollers. In the 50s, it would have been traditional roller setting the hair on wet hair. The rollers would have given the hair quite a formal look, so you would have had to brush the hair vigorously to soften the style back into place. Today, we don't have that problem because we can use blow dryers, so you'd blast dry the hair until it's about 90% dry. At that point, you would put in Velcro rollers. Once the rollers are in, blast of hairspray over the rollers, and then you diffuse the hair for about 5-10 minutes. Once the rollers cool down completely, take the rollers out, and then head upside down, work the hair loose just using the fingers, and then brush the hair. And it's brushing the hair that will form and create the wave. And once you've got the required result, hairspray.
Stars basically become icons because their image outlasts them, because there's something which people, long after they died, stopped being film stars, latch onto. Someone can't, though, be an icon if they don't, underneath that look, have something else, something much more substantial. And what Grace Kelly had was real talent. And I think it's because she was a good actress that her beauty meant something.
I think all the men would love to have cracked the Ice Maiden, to be quite honest with you. She had a sex appeal, but it was her aloofness, her beauty. That was her sex appeal. It was not a bawdy sex appeal. It was very elegant.
I think modern women would definitely get Grace Kelly. They'd see her as somebody like Sharon Stone or Cameron Diaz or somebody like that, who's kind of, they're sexy, but they're kind of independent and they know who they are.
I know that it was a fairy tale come true to be a princess, but I feel sad for her. And particularly about 5 years after she was killed in that tragic accident, we visited Monaco and went to the palace. And there was a full-length portrait of Grace. Looking into her face, the only thing I could see was infinite sadness.
I think she was the epitome of what every woman would like to be. And she married a prince.
Amongst others, Richard and Judy remember their meeting with Eddie Izzard and George Clooney. That's live at 5. Next up, though, Valerie Hobson is thrust into the clutches of a man with ambition. Blanche Fury is today's matinee. Next.